Good day. Hello, and I am very happy to be part of your seminar today. I'm very thankful to Adventist University of the Philippines for inviting me to be one of your speakers in this series. The assignment given to me is Pedagogy for Flexible Learning, the K to 12 experience. Our This topic is very interesting. And when I review the literature and reflect on our experiences during the pandemic and even before the pandemic, I have realized that flexible learning is one of the tools, very effective tools that we can really use during this time. And I think this is the reason why Adventist University of the Philippines and the department that is in charge of the continuing professional development has really chosen this topic for our consideration today. I have read some literature, some journals, and put together some of the concepts for our first series session. And I have certainly considered the Bible as the basis, one of the bases for our discussion today. Let's begin our discussion. I wish I can spend some time with you, interacting, saying hi, hello, knowing some of you. I'm sure I have friends around who are in this seminar. So, greetings from South Philippines. I'm currently working with South and the Central in their flexible learning environments also, especially the design of learning modules. So we are here this today to consider some thoughts. Some of these principles are review, but I'm sure review also provides us some windows where we can see things from a different perspective. During the pandemic, there are uncertainties, and there were uncertainties last year when we succumbed to this experience. Very depressing. Many of us said, "What is school now? What is schooling these days? What is the picture? What is the image of the school? What is the physical structure of the school? What is class attendance? Will it be distance? Will it be face to face or a mix? What are the models that we will use when we deliver lessons, instruction, and when we design learning with students, with learners, especially in the K to 12, from K to 12. Many pivoted to distance learning, full online learning, for example. Some also did some hybrid. What are the kinds of instruction? Should we really do hybrid, full online, depending on the direction of the government, depending on the permits granted. So during the pandemic, the LCPs, schools, Christian schools, private schools also developed some LCPs, and they place inside their LCP, learning continuity plan, their approach, the mode of learning. So but during the pandemic, these are uncertainties, and now we are still experiencing some of these and many of these uncertainties. But the pandemic also provided us a window with many possibilities. And the possibilities are we can decide on the learning models that we can use. So when government started to say, okay, what is your proposal? What will you do in your school? If we are very conscious, if we were very alert, if we were very alert, then we would decide on models of learning. What is the best model? How will we deliver? How will we design our lessons? What will be the structure of our lessons? How do we deliver this? All right. And when we considered models, the options are hybrid, okay? Hybrid, a mix of blended, face to face, online. If a percentage of the time can be allotted to face to face, then we can do hybrid. But many of us went to full online, blended, and flexible learning. Flexible learning is the overarching perspective, overarching approach that we have considered during this year. In fact, the DepEd, the Department of Education, circulated its memorandum, DepEd orders, saying that we will not implement any more examinations. Instead, our grading will be limited to um, performance tasks and written works. And what's the, because we want to be flexible, right? So this day is flexible learning. Today is flexible learning. We will maximize the idea of flexible learning. But what is flexible learning really? What is really flexible learning? We will discuss these things after we have reviewed, after we shall have reviewed all these principles that we will review. I would like to review with you these concepts. Number one, remote learning. Okay, let's understand this briefly. Let's review, and I hope we have shared understanding of what this is. Student, educator, or information source not physically present in the traditional classroom. So the student is not in the classroom, the educator is not in the classroom, the pieces of information or the source of information is not physically present in the traditional classroom. So that's why we delivered modules, lessons to the to the to the students, either in print or in soft copies. Synchronously, yes, we can have synchronous learning, real time, peer to peer, in collaboration with the teacher and the student, and the students in groups. We can do synchronous learning together. We can study together if we are inside a platform like Google Classroom, or if we are in Zoom, if we are in Google Meet, other forms, um, Google Teams, something like that. No, we can be together in one room, and I'm glad that Zoom is here because we can accommodate as many students in one room. And in fact, in Zoom, we can together synchronously discuss. We can place students in chambers, in classrooms, breakout sessions, and you can discuss together. The only requirement is we should have a very, very good signal, very good internet connection. Remote learning can also be done asynchronously. So the teacher is not there in the traditional classroom, the student not there, the piece of information, the lesson is not there, but it can be brought to the student and asynchronously self-paced learning activities. Here's an independent mode, an independent situation, independent of the instructor. So there is information sharing through technology. We have discussion boards in the net, video conferencing, online assessments, all can be done inside the machine. So we can do that synchronously, everyone together, or asynchronously as well. Um, Prior knowledge we have to consider is fully remote learning or hybrid. So this is our design. So if we say hybrid blended learning, we are combining face to face and online. In fact, one view is full. If we have full face to face and we have additional input through online learning. That's one approach. Also, half, face to face half of the time of the week, face to face half of the time of the week online, or one day face to face and the remaining days of the week online. Okay? Let's also understand the word pedagogy. This word is understood by many to be specifically uh, the examination on how knowledge and skills are imparted to children, to school age learners. And in pedagogy, we examine how knowledge and skills are imparted. So the how, pedagogy focuses on how. We examine carefully how knowledge and skills are imparted to the students. So the how, the sequence of sharing information. So when you lecture, the sequence is make an introduction, have your body, you can ask questions in between. That's some procedures, no? How. And then you end, you summarize your presentation and you end. So that's how. In a laboratory approach to pedagogy, there are steps. One, two, three. We follow an order of events in learning. We do not only do that in pedagogy as pedagogy, we also examine the interaction within the learning process, how students interact with the instructor, how the instructor interacts with the learner in the learning process. So that's pedagogy. So if we apply pedagogy, the concept pedagogy, with that definition, it's generic. Here's also a generic one, which says that it's any conscious activity by one person designed to enhance learning in another. Looking at this definition of pedagogy, we see here conscious awareness. So the designer of learning, the teacher or the instructor, the teacher as the guide is conscious of the structure. Look at the activity here. Design, the activity, the design. Okay, in structure, the content, the context, the process. So that's we should be conscious as teachers of how to structure the learning process, where is the learning process taking place, what's inside this learning process to be learned, how is this carried out, okay, the structure, the design. So when we involve ourselves in pedagogy, we are not only interested in the content. Many teachers already forgot that structure, how you structure from beginning to end the learning process is important. Many say, I already have technology. I already have the Zoom. I can just say whatever I like. I will just be saying all these things and students will just listen to me. You have to follow a structure. Structure is important because pedagogy is a carefully carefully designed activity by one person, and the purpose is to enhance learning in another. So the learning is the another. The goal of this design, this structure with context, content, and processes is for learning. Okay, face to face versus flexible. Okay, let's what's the traditional? Let's just review. You have your rows and desks. You're facing the teacher. Teacher is in front. It's didactic. See, the teacher has all the information. Just saying, just following the PowerPoint, and then presenting the lesson. Everybody listens. Students are passive. That's the traditional approach. Diba? We have one classroom, standing single classroom, the teacher just is standing in front. In fact, if the arrangement of the class is just like that, you don't have rows, alleys, the teacher can walk through, then you only have the teacher in front. Teacher led. You know that. We know that. The teacher remains in the front of the classroom. Students' individual tasks, writing, they are less engaged because they are not talking, they are not active, they are just listening in a passive mode. Limited movement of the learner, limited in standing, limited in their moving around the room, and the frequent input comes from the teacher. All right, frequent input, additional instruction or instructions from the teacher for some guidance. So most of our schools, most of our classrooms are still designed this way. I'm sure they are not designed for flexible learning environments. So that's the traditional. But the learning spaces are different when you compare that um, that space. I'm considering the face to face because flexible learning can be in face to face, can be used, the concept, the approach can be used in face to face, at the same time online or virtual. So if you will consider the learning spaces of flexible learning environments, the teaching approach is student-centered. Student-centered approach. We have much student-centered activities. Group work focused. The instructions of the teacher are done at the beginning of the class, and further guidance are given by the teacher when everyone goes into these groups, individual or in groups, doing their tasks, accessing information, pieces of information inside the classroom. So in the classroom, probably, possibly, there are computers. So we have to structure the classroom for flexible learning. All right. That's in the face to face. They have freedom to choose how to go about learning. The module is there, the lesson is there. We still are in the traditional because the teacher only holds the lesson plan. In fact, many teachers do not have the lesson design, do not have the plan for that day or for that week, just prepares a PowerPoint, right? that is uh, that is minus the design. But ideally, we have to have a plan. We have to have the structure of how learning shall take place, especially in basic education, when we really need to be strategic in our approach to facilitating learning. Freedom to choose how to go about learning. That's in flexible learning spaces. The module is there. The general activities that students must perform are written in the module. Each learner has a copy of the module and they follow. They are guided by the teacher. There are furniture inside the classroom that allows movement. Students can just move from one place to another, accessing information, doing this and that related to what is designed by the teacher. The resources are in variety. You can see the resources just inside the room or within or inside the campus. Students can just have access to all of these. Look at this flexible learning environment. There are this is totally different from what we have, as there are chairs in rows, because we want to ensure that everybody is disciplined. And the only way we understand discipline is that they are quiet, they are listening to the teacher. But flexible learning is quite different. We allow flexibility in discussions, individual work. Look at the chalkboard there. We have all chalkboard all around. Even if it's in English class, students can write, sit, discuss together within the time frame the teacher has given for discussion or for processing of information. So that is one very big difference. Flexible learning spaces, the behavior of the learners. Look at the learner's learning setting. Flexible. The setting of the learning experience is quite flexible in less time working as a whole class, more time in groups or in individuals. The variety comes when we say individuals or in groups. The traditional learning setting is more time with the teacher, whole class, and individuals just listening. All right, so that's the other side of the coin. In classroom behaviors, mode of learning, what's the mode of learning? The mode in traditional is less individual or no collaboration at all. That's the mode of learning. More teacher led, but in the flexible, more the mode of learning is more collaboration. I have emphasized that already. Less in teacher led instruction. There's independent learning and presentation based work, performance based work, because the material, the design for the class is ready, written in modules or lesson plans that students have in their hands. They will just walk through the self learning material, self paced modules. All right. As far as types of engagement, this is one of the behaviors. Active. Look, how are students engaged? Are they engaged more or less? Traditional, Engagement with the teacher, yes, they will still be engaged with the teacher if they ask questions, if they ask clarificatory questions, they pose questions, they can do that. But in the flexible, they are more active with content. Why? Because they can read. The modules are there ready. They just have to walk through the modules. They will read and they will be led to materials, and materials are available also. So the pacing of the learning depends on how engaged the learner is. And they're high on task behaviors. High with this flexible learning spaces, much or high on task behaviors among learners. Peer interaction, yes, more inflexible, less in traditional. Wow, I would like to see this learner. Have you seen this one in Google? Graduation look like this. Graduation look like this, and this is flexible, right? We can graduate even, and this I think happened because of the pandemic. People have become flexible in those regard. So let's focus on flexible learning. Now we will define it clearly. Let's take a look at it closely. What's our definition of flexible learning after comparing flexible and traditional face to face and the traditional approach? Then we are not saying that the traditional approach is cannot be useful anymore. No, they are still very important, but we have to vary our approach. And one of these that accommodates variety is flexible learning. So we have the flexible teacher. What is a flexible teacher? What is the flexible learning environment? What are principles that we can draw? If are there examples from the scriptures of teachers being flexible with their learners? What is flexibility? It's an ability to move naturally, right? That's flexibility. We have the ability to move naturally. We can change directions easily. We can even compromise when appropriate. Remember, I have placed that word when appropriate. We can compromise, okay? We can adjust, we can negotiate when appropriate. It's pliable. I like this coming from Eddington, to bend rather than to break. Okay, we can bend. That's flexibility. Blending without breaking. When we take a look at this in the context of teaching and learning in the Philippines, there are standards, government standards we have to comply with. We can bend, we can stretch, but not to break. All right? We cannot break. We have to cover as much as what we can cover. We are not sacrificing principles and quality. We are just bending to accommodate, to adjust, to ensure that students will have more access depending on their needs to what is quality education. Are there examples from the Bible? Are learners showing great concern and interest about learning and teaching during the pandemic? This is a question I ask. House learning, where will learning take place? All right. If students have suggestions on how to learn and where to learn, would we welcome them? Is that a very good question when we consider flexibility? If they will suggest, ma'am, we'll do it this way. We can do this online. We can do this face to face. This is my style. Will you be able to adjust? Will you accommodate this? One of the examples I find interesting in the story in the Bible is when Elisha visited one of the schools of the prophets. You remember this story, that this is a story of that axe that floated after the miracle. And the sons of the prophet said to Elijah, this is interesting. See now, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. Wow. The sons of the prophets, the students of that school of the prophets said, Sir, our school is small, too small. We don't have a place to hold our classes. Increasing enrollment. Oh, there's increase in enrollment. Please let us go to Jordan and let everyone make a beam or take a beam from there and let us make there a place where we may dwell. Commentators said the students are requesting for expansion of classrooms because enrollment has increased. More, more have been attracted to Christian education. More students were attracted to a quality education at the school of the prophet. So many wanted to go to school and there were no classrooms available. They said, "Sir, we have very congested. We only have one classroom or two. We have a small auditorium. Sir, let's go." The suggestion of the students, let's go to Jordan and let's take a beam from there, or let's cut trees and then let's make more classrooms. Is it possible that during the pandemic, sir, we can't we suggest that we will hold this one in on Facebook? Can we hold this one in Google Classroom? Is it possible? This is only the available classroom that all of us can be accommodated. Would we welcome that? Is that part of flexibility? Lessons from the prophets. Okay? Is it the teachers, Elisha and Elijah? Is it that they taught that proper education shall be maintained? Yes, that's what they taught. They taught. And because they taught that education is to be maintained, Elisha was the teacher, the sons of the prophets were there. So they saw the value of proper education because they were taught that proper education should be good classrooms, ventilation, the learning experience should be very good. They say, "See, the place now is congested, too small for us. Our learning space is too small." Our students also value that. If you have taught them the value of quality learning in the classroom, we have provided them correct instruction that proper education should be maintained, then I'm sure they will be able to suggest, and that is an experience in the Bible. Learners are showing concern, thoughts. See the lessons when they said, "We have see the place. We don't have a very nice place, congested here." Learners are showing concern of their learning spaces, and this is a school-wide issue. So the interest in growing enrollments, interest in proper education. See, our students, when taught properly, I think they would value that. And one of the sons of the prophet said, "See now, please let us go to Jordan and let everyone take a beam from there and let us make a place more classrooms." Such suggestion came from the students. They were not afraid to work. They were all trained to work. It was their responsibility to serve. Very empowered. Very empowered. Let us go. Let everyone take a beam. That's what the Bible said. Let us make a place where we can hold classes. They were trained to contribute to the progress of the school. Are our students like that during the pandemic, or during the teaching learning process? If we employ flexible learning, I'm sure that the students will make suggestions, and will we accommodate that? They will see our need. They will see that there are things that they can be willing to contribute. Okay, they can suggest. They were not afraid to work. And if you have trained them that proper education, I'm sure Adventist universities and Adventist schools are training the value of work and the value of suggesting, contributing to the progress of the school. And that's very powerful. "Please let us go to Jordan." That's what they requested. What did the teacher say? What did Elisha say? How did he respond? He said, "Go." So he answered, "Go." Very flexible. See, it was a school-wide issue. Students were willing to participate. Shared understanding. Students were willing, all of them united, to really pursue this. What did the teacher in his analysis say? "Go, let's go." Wow, let's go. They were seeking permission, the recognition of the teacher as one in authority. So when they asked permission, they recognized that Elisha was in authority. So he ordered, let us go. So the order and direction of of what to do, how to do this, was from the teacher. They were just suggesting. So this is an example, a very good example of flexible learning. Students can offer suggestions. Students can offer solutions to some problems, especially the teaching and learning process. And when the teacher finds this viable, these suggestions, possible, probable, then he can say yes. And he answered yes. For it is for the good of everyone. Then one said, go away. The students were not just contented with Elisha saying, yes. Then one said, please consent to go with your servants. Come, sir. Come, join us in this project. Let's do this together. Let's help one another. There is flexibility, allowing the students to do their share, but the teacher has to go with this project. The teacher has to not only bless, approve, but go with them, join together. And what did the teacher say? In the next verse 4, and he answered, I will go. And that I will go was supplemented with this line, so he went with them. Surely, he did not only promise, I will go, but he went with them. We can promise our students that we are with them in their struggles. We can be flexible with them. We can say that in our mouths. We can say, I am flexible. I love you. I'm consider. I'm understanding you, but you have to go with them. Don't only make promises. If you want to be flexible, don't just make promises. Don't just say, I'm a kind teacher. I'm a very understanding teacher. Live with that. Live that in your life. Because Elisha did not only promise he would go, but he went with them. And they went to the Jordan. One said, a teacher for the pupils. That's flexibility. A teacher for the pupils. The teacher was at home with kings, with generals, because he was the prophet, in big men in education, but he was also at home with learners. Very powerful. He was at home. He was willing to serve. He was willing to self-sacrifice time, effort, energy just to be with the students along the banks of Jordan River. Wow, that's flexible learning. That's a flexible teacher. Understanding students, being with students, not just promising students promising students and without doing. There was a problem. Okay, we are all in this. We are learning together. We have one project. We can be flexible. We can do this. We can do that. Your assignment is there. Your assignment. The teacher was there ordering, assigning what to do. But one problem was that axe head fell in the water and he cried. And there was a problem. Did the student solve the problem himself? No, he did not know how to solve it. He cried out and said, alas, master, for it was borrowed. Wow. What if the learner will say, teacher, I just borrowed this laptop. I just borrowed this computer and it's broken. It's damaged. Please, teacher, help me. This is part of flexible learning, solving problems with the learners, addressing a specific. Others were cutting trees, no problem. They had all their trees cut, but this one was just halfway. Couldn't finish the task. He couldn't finish the chopping, and his axe fell on the water. Teacher, I can't complete my assignment. I'm very far behind. I cannot do this. I just borrowed this laptop, this computer. I cannot send my assignment to you. Others have already sent in advance. Teacher, please help me. Will you say, that's your problem, that's not my problem? No, 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 no. Flexible learning is helping the student addressing very specific, even simple problems. Axe fell into the water. The conscientiousness of the learner. The learner was conscientious. He wanted to do the assignment. Very conscientious. Halfway through the job. but can't continue because of some problems. The teacher is called. He has the solution. He knew the project was feasible, and because he knew the project was feasible, he knew that the lesson was organized and attainable because he had set his objectives. I'm translating this to a classroom setting immediately. The teacher would know how to solve the problem. And look, this tool was just a borrowed tool. Poor learner. He's a poor learner. He's not a rich learner. Borrowing a tool but dedicated to study. There are many students who are interested to learn, many students who are interested to study to achieve high scores, but they have limited resources, borrowed only. Photocopies are borrowed in the margins. They are borrowing, but some of these that they have borrowed are lost. Some of these are damaged and they can't proceed. Very limited internet access. Very limited. The teacher was there. The teacher was very understanding. He said, that's why the Bible says, so the man of God said, where did it fall? Where did it fall? He did. Elisha did not perform a miracle right away. It was the problem solving was a collaboration between the learner and the teacher. Where did it fall? Show me. What is the problem? Tell me what you feel and what are your needs. And the pupil said he showed the place. He just showed the place. I don't know where. I don't know what the problem is. I just saw that the axe fell on the water, fell into the water, I should say, and then it went maybe down. I don't know where it is now. Did Elisha perform the miracle immediately? So what did Elisha do? Impressed with the Holy Spirit, he cut off a stick and he threw it in there. And he made the iron float. That was a miracle. And after the miracle, let's just draw some lessons. Where did it fall? Specific location, knowing where. Where is the problem of the student? What is the specific problem of the learner? He did not say, hey, boy, please help that guy there. He did not say that. Teacher was there. The teacher's interest in even one learner's problem. Wow, very powerful. Very powerful experience of Elisha. Cooperation between the teacher who can potentially help a learner. So he cut the stick, throw it in there, and throw it in there. The teacher had a little solution. But after that, a solution from God, not from Elisha. You see, our solutions, teaching learning problems, are revealed to students and are also revealed to teachers. That's why we have to have collaborative efforts in solving problems. And we are not only having the monopoly of access to God. Our students can also say, Lord, please help me with this problem. And if this solution is shared to the teacher, please consider. And reveal also to the learners, to the teachers. And they can also have to collaborate. God has always ways to solve issues that we cannot explain, but the problem is solved. In detail, we can explain, but we are thankful that there is a God who can help us. Our role is just to cooperate with one another, pray with each other, and provide solutions and wait for God's solutions. And he made the iron float. And he made the iron float. Isn't that also God's? God is patient with all of us. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise. Willing, all will come to repentance. I'm sharing this because we have committed probably some mistakes on this regard. We are not very patient with our learners. We just say, but we have to repent. We have to be, if Jesus is very long suffering, if Jesus is very patient with our learners, we have to stretch our patience, solving problems. But the solution did not end there. He said, well, pick it up. Elisha did not pick the iron. No. Iron floated. He did not pick. Elisha did not say, okay, solution is here. Here is your the iron. Okay, continue. He did not pick. He said, pick it up. He was empowering. He was empowering the learner. Okay? So pick it up for yourself. For yourself. Pick it up. So the child said, okay, I'll continue. I'll continue. He was inspired. So he reached out his hand and took it. Very inspired. Pick it up. He reached out his hand. Do your part. Continue your work. So part of the solution was empowering the learner, stretching flexibility. Okay, pick it up. Do your work. Encouraging learners have a part to play in problem solving, and the greatest blessings in obedience to teacher. It was a blessing to just follow the teacher's instructions. And because the teacher was not just instructing, the teacher was not just commanding, he was there alongside, helping, assisting in all the details of the project. Wow, that is flexibility. Bending but not breaking. Being with students, understanding their needs, and providing technology, providing solutions, technology. Uses flexibility. Remember this? That woman, the issue of blood. Jesus, our master teacher, he was responding to every need as it arose. He took time with compassion and careful explanation because he wanted to develop faith. He wanted that the lady will experience wholeness. But that centurion, oh, was very stressed already. Okay, the master has to go to another learner there who needs help. But there was intervention. If I can just touch the hem of the garment, oh, what is the core here? The father's ceaseless tender care and love. The teacher loves everyone. If the teacher is interrupted because of another need, okay, he attends to that need. Jesus, very flexible. Remember this story, the woman with the issue of blood. Why flexible? Because Jesus, the master, wanted that this wanted to develop faith and trust, and that is relationship, assurance of hope, assurance and hope. People deserve to be in the kingdom. So even if a student interrupted him along the way, another kind of student, as he was going to another student there needing help, he was all there entertaining all these needs, providing solutions here and there in with all his tools, with all his powers, because he wanted to develop faith in God. He wanted to develop among his learners faith in and trust in him as the Savior, providing them assurance and hope because people deserve to be in the kingdom. The disciples also, washing of hands, remember this story? Jesus' ways were too flexible compared to the Jews' old ways. Your disciples not washing hands. The message, the message Bible said, I prefer a flexible heart to an inflexible ritual. You wouldn't be nitpicking like this. He told the he told the Sadducees. Okay, he told the Sadducees, I prefer a flexible heart to an inflexible ritual. Sometimes we have classroom policies, very classroom policies. Ganito talaga, ganito talaga. This is it, this is it. We are not flexible. The grading should be this, the grading should be that. Well, that's a good one. We have one grading system. That's probably we cannot stretch. But make a joke. I will submit this. There's a can we. Sometimes we are very rigid. We are very well. We wanted to say that's discipline, but there are some students who are really struggling and they need some assistance and sometimes they are delayed. Jesus said, I prefer a flexible heart to an inflexible ritual. I want to be merciful, but if you had known the meaning of this scripture text, I want to be merciful more than I want your offerings. See, I want to be merciful. That's flexibility. Remember Jesus' flexibility on Job. Going ahead God's will. Huh? Going ahead God's will. What did God provide? A ladder. Search for happiness in his life, was learning about life. He was learning to be on his own. He wanted to he coveted that blessing, the birthday blessing, because he wanted to, it's search of happiness, and he was doing it the wrong way. But God is very patient. There are students. There are students. Jesus was very patient with him. God was very patient. There are students who are really doing their ways. Okay, they can't follow. They want to do their own. They have some things. Yes, all right. But heaven was very flexible. On his way to his uncle, he dreamt that there was a ladder set up on the earth, the top of it reaching heaven, and all God and the angels of God were descending on it. Wow. There was a ladder set up. God used technology. What is God's technology? What is God's technology? The ladder. He set up that technology on earth, on the earth, and reaching heaven. He wanted to reach that student. 40 men with Esau to meet him. Jacob was afraid, distressed, weakness, and hopelessness. He thought, if Esau meets one group and attacks my group, perhaps the other group can escape. He felt he was already a loser. He was on the weak side. He said, Lord, 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 I am not worthy. I own nothing except a stick. I am so down. That's what it says. So down. I own nothing. I don't have any more. I'm a loser. I'm afraid of my brother. To open Jacob's ignorance, Jesus met him in Jabbok. Okay, wrestled with God. Don't you, you will not bless me. You know the story. And after that, he was blessed by God. And then, what did Jacob say? I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. How did God start to connect with Jacob? I should say, Jacob, through that technology, through that ladder, the tool that God used, promising we can connect to our learner despite their challenges, individual struggles. We still can connect. We can be flexible. We can design tools, technology, so that they can access learning, teaching, quality education, and much more, the teacher's presence. Teacher's presence. Your name will no longer be Jacob. The man told him, from now on, you will be called Israel because you have fought with God and with men and have won. Here you have total transformation. The teacher affirmed already, teacher affirmation. You have won. You have fought. You have won. Your name is Israel. You have a new identity. You are transformed. Wow. Flexibility to rescue, to be close to the learners. That's what God did. That's what Jesus did to Jacob. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. And if this is the attitude of the teacher, there are many out there who can't access education. There are many out there who are already in deep sorrow. They need rescue. They wanted to access Christian education, Adventist education, but nobody. So let's use technology. Let's reach during this pandemic. I have realized Adventist University of the Philippines has opened its windows. We see your church from Sabbath to Sabbath. Wow, accessing. Students can still go to church. You opened your doors, probably, windows, to reach those who are struggling, those whose spirits are crushed already because of the pandemic. And that is flexibility. Our flexibility is defined as to rescue, to be close to the learners so that we feel their needs and we can provide assistance, we can extend help ways we can. What are the principles? All of this revolve around teacher designed relationship building. We can build relationship, but the teacher has to design this. Teachers, you can use technology. God used the ladder, right? Flexibility without compromising truth and quality. This is teacher initiated technologies to support learning among learners, good learners, top in the class, those who are in the depths of despair, those who are struggling. Yes, for transformation, change, and Jacob experienced that transformation. Very flexible teacher. God has mercy, full of mercy, and that's what we should have. So what is the flexible teacher? Very merciful, using variety of strategies and range of methods. Range of methods, not only lecture all the time. Lecture, 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 test, lecture, multiple choice, true or false. Not that one. A range of methods, tools, and they differ from one teacher to another. Yes, differ from one teacher to another, and we have an instructional repertoire. Okay, we have a repertoire that from there we can say this student has a problem, I'll use this I can't reach that student, which student is far struggling. Okay, I can just push the button and then you can reach the student even if the student is far away, because the student can be reached if the teacher just designs it. The merciful teacher, the loving teacher, just as the master teacher is very loving. So let's go to pedagogy. Uses teaching is contextual. Flexible teacher, teaching is his teaching is contextual. What is the context? When you are in online learning, now these days the students are in their homes probably. How many environments do if you have 20 students, how many learning environments? There are 20, and each of these have environments have different structures and different challenges at home. Each of these learners it has to be responded to, and the teacher should be contextual, understanding all this compared to traditional. You only have one learning environment coming from different backgrounds. You see, there's an addition. The context of all of these 20 learners in their homes, you have 20 different contexts, and the teacher, very flexible heart, responds to each of these contexts by using variety of tools, technology. Okay, Zoom, Messenger, phone, printed material, etc. But you need to organize, design carefully to address students' needs. So flexibility, again, we will say. So how is flexibility attached to pedagogy? How is that attached? How is that related? Yes, we are conscious of structure, content, processes, and we are also conscious of the learning experience plus who the student is, the context. And I think this is very grounded in the scriptures. And the goal is transformation. The goal is learning, quality learning, and transformation. We will discuss in a while now uh, the areas where we can be flexible. Time, five categories: time, content, access, entry requirements, instructional approach, and delivery. We'll just review this quickly. When we say time and date, the start and end of a module, we can stretch. No, we can stretch. We can be flexible in that aspect. Time period, students are able to participate. Okay, there are time periods. Probably when you are offering online, so they are already in the virtual classroom, there are time periods they can participate. All right, you have to stretch time. You have to allow participation, and there should be time periods. Don't just have the monopoly of time all the time. I wanted this to also be flexible this time. I can interact with you on these concepts, but I think I was tasked to give a lecture. Pace of learning. See? Pace of learning. During flexible learning, you can't submit this because you have problems, technology, and that. Okay, extend. You can have the pace of learning, time for assessment. You can address that. When we'll have assessment? We cannot probably do this together, all of us, when we are in flexible learning, particularly this time when there's pandemic. You can have assessment. You have to extend. This is a little tedious on the part of the teacher, but it's okay. That's part of our mission. That's part of our development of patience. Sequence of topics. See, the sequence of topics can be adjusted. The time the topic can be covered, that's also can be flexed. All right, content, choice of topics covered. Who will choose the topic? Okay, if one would suggest, I can choose. Can I discuss this? You can give freedom for choice of topics, amount of learning activities to be done. You can have options of the activities to be done, the skills. Sometimes say you have to do all right, but you can have options. You do three of the five. Okay, you can have leeway. Ma'am, if I can get the five, no problem. Only four. Okay. Ma'am, may I have an alternative activity? All right. For as long as they are aligned to the topic, the choice, the chosen topics, fine. Difficulty level. Okay. Difficulty level, the module content, it's quite difficult, but you can also adjust the difficulty. Many teachers would like to make it difficult, right? But that's not probably nice. Okay? In fact, we are saying unlocking the difficulties. You see, that's our role. We have to unlock the difficulties. Elisha unlocked the difficulty. Jesus did unlock difficulties because he wanted students to access quality, correct education. Don't make it difficult. Adjust the difficulty level. You can provide challenges, but you don't have to make it difficult. Assessment standards can be stretched, okay? You can be flexible with assessment standards. What about access and requirements? Prerequisites. You can adjust prerequisites. Access, you can adjust aspects of the instructional how can we access this? Can we do this by group or can we have it individual? Access also suggests availability for support. Availability of support. They have to have access to technical support. So we can provide that. We can be flexible by providing available technical support. The school, for example, the high school department, the elementary department must have probably a section where their focus is instructional support. If there are 24 hours availability, okay, that student there cannot access the LMS, cannot access Moodle, or cannot access Schoology or whatever, then instructional support should be available. The modes of learning, individual or groups. The language for communication. Remember, today we are into effective communication. All right. What else do we have here? We are delivery. All right, delivery. What is delivery? What is delivery? Delivery suggests that we can time and place and where support is available, methods of obtaining support. How do we deliver? Okay, we can adjust with the methods, the types of support available, okay, the places for studying. What are the channels? Tutorials, lectures, internet, podcasts, other options. You know all these technologies. So you deliver them. Can we have it email? Can we have it Facebook? Can we just so adjust delivery? Okay. Instructional design. That's instructional design. Okay. Delivery and instructional design. So how you deliver, how you adjust the design. Okay. What are flexible learning environments? The instructional time, the instruction, the design, flexible, and time flexible, treated as flexible resources. They are designed what? To support learning. Learners with flexible learning environments have clear paths to success. Our learners have clear paths to success. Why? They have available support. materials, they can be supported. Teachers have to adjust, have to give to ensure everyone is reached. Students have access to materials, and that's the reason why this demands a strategic approach on the part of the school. The school principal, the board has to decide that flexibility can be the main recipe now, and then they have to place it in their policies. All right, they have to decide on this collaboratively with the school, institutional level. Okay, change policies. The vision of the institution has to be adjusted so that we can accommodate flexibility, and with that we can also provide support, financial and infrastructure, so that everyone will be able to implement flexible learning. Flexible learning environment, the learner's interests and talents and experiences are respected and valued. I discussed a while ago that teaching is contextual, right? So interests, there are 20 environments now. And everyone is invested to perform. Everyone is in, both the teacher and the learner are invested to perform and to achieve. The learner himself will understand the why, the what, and how should he learn, how he should learn. And that is very good. That is empowerment. Instead of saying, how will I do this? I cannot understand this. I can't understand the module. And when I call the teacher, I can't reach the teacher. No. Ah. So that's why we have to set up, excuse me, set this all up so that we can provide the best education we can give. Flexible learning, let's summarize this. Flexible learning is an approach to teaching and learning. It's not only approach, an approach. Has its principles grounded, it has its principles grounded in the scriptures. The purpose, what's the purpose? Access to quality Adventist education. The Great Commission says, go ye therefore and teach. Go. We are not saying the Bible says, did not say invite them to come. You go. We have to initiate the reaching out. And that is flexibility. We have to initiate the reaching out. And that because we are commanded. Matthew 28:19-20. Go and teach. Initiate. Provide all the opportunities for access to quality education. The principle there is access in all this, the use of all technologies, but you have to organize. You have to design this carefully. The flexible learning is the teacher who loves learning, loves the students, love this process of teaching and learning. Here is the teacher who understands the needs of the learners. Here is this teacher, here is this system of education, we can also say, that has all these technologies available. If they're available, they can be potentially used. They can be used for the teaching and learning process. Kindness. They are very kind to reach learner in these various needs. Very kind. The principle of kindness. And if we have these all, we can be reaching out all learners, and we can, if our education is true education, then many will have access to salvation through our teaching and learning, because I'm sure we will be integrating faith into the teaching and learning process. So this ends our presentation this in this first series, and I hope that we have now a better understanding of what flexible learning is in the light of what what educators say, and when we have discovered these are really principles coming from the Bible, we can say that this is probably one of the best approaches, the models that we can use at this time in the new normal and in the years ahead. God bless us as we continue learning, as we continue improving, so that we can reach more students and provide them the quality education for transformation. All of us will be ready for the kingdom.